In the 90s, Porsche was on the edge of bankruptcy. Every decision mattered. It was do or die. Then came the Cayenne, a bold, unexpected SUV. It didn't just expand the lineup, it saved the company. Today, every 911, every GT, every modern Porsche exists because of that one risk. The Cayenne didn't just survive, it changed history. In marketing, there's a concept called brand perception, and car companies constantly face this problem. Take Porsche, for example. For decades, Porsche was associated with lightweight sports cars, rear-engine layouts, racing DNA, and driver-focused vehicles. The brand's entire identity was built around cars like the Porsche 911, small, fast, and emotional. Then, in the early 2000s, Porsche introduced the Porsche Cayenne. Large SUV, family car, high seating position, heavy, a completely different segment. From a traditional Porsche perspective, this move seemed odd. But if you look at the company's situation at the time, it actually makes sense. In the 1990s, Porsche's financial situation was not very good. Production costs were high, production volumes were low, and the model range was limited. The company had a rich heritage, but its business model was fragile. This required a stable cash flow, not just emotionally charged products. At the same time, the American market was rapidly changing. SUVs were growing at an incredible rate. Models like the Jeep Grand Cherokee and Cadillac Escalade were selling in huge numbers. Buyers wanted space, comfort, safety, and convenience in everyday life. Porsche recognized this trend early. The problem was that developing an entirely new platform alone would have been extremely expensive. So they partnered with Volkswagen. This partnership resulted in the creation of a shared platform with the Volkswagen Touareg. For Porsche, this was a very smart move. Development and production costs remained relatively controlled, but the final product featured Porsche engineering, Porsche tuning, and Porsche positioning. And the price was much higher. The result was simple. The Cayenne was hugely profitable. Sales soared. In just a few years, Porsche had transformed itself from a small sports car manufacturer into one of the most profitable automobile brands in the world. That single model changed everything. Now let's talk about the car itself, because this is where things get more interesting. The first generation was not perfect. It was the first attempt for both Porsche and Volkswagen in this segment, and there were compromises. But even then, the Cayenne stood out. It accelerated fast, handled well for its size, and had real driving dynamics, which was unusual for SUVs at the time. The second generation, especially the 958, became a much more refined product. The chassis, suspension, steering, and electronics were significantly improved. The car felt much more cohesive. One of the key points is how the Cayenne drives. It doesn't behave like a typical large SUV. The body control is tight, the steering is precise, and the car remains stable in corners even with high weight. This is something Porsche engineers focused on from the beginning. Under the hood, the range was also interesting. The V8 engines, both naturally aspirated and turbocharged, offered strong performance. These engines are complex and highly stressed, but when properly maintained, they can be reliable. The key factor is maintenance quality: fuel, oil changes, and correct service intervals. At the same time, the diesel and V6 versions became popular for everyday use. They offered good torque, better efficiency, and more predictable ownership costs. This made the Cayenne attractive not only as a performance SUV, but also as a daily luxury vehicle. Another technical point often overlooked is the drivetrain. The all-wheel drive system and transfer case are designed for performance and traction, but aggressive launches and constant hard use can accelerate wear. This is not a defect, it's simply the result of combining high power with a heavy platform. Overall, the Cayenne is a complex premium vehicle. It requires attention and proper care. But this is true for any high-performance luxury car. What's important is how the car fits into real life. Many Porsche owners do not use sports cars every day. A 911 is exciting, but it's not always practical. The Cayenne allows customers to stay within the brand for daily driving, family trips, and long-distance travel. This is why the model became so successful. From a business perspective, the impact was enormous. The Cayenne and later the Macan became the financial backbone of Porsche. They generate the majority of the company's profit. That profit funds research, development, motorsport, and future sports cars. Without this strategy, the brand would look very different today. Another interesting observation comes from the used market. Buyers usually choose between two directions. Some want maximum performance and go for the V8 versions. Others prioritize comfort, reliability, and operating costs, choosing smaller engines or diesel. Both approaches make sense depending on expectations. And this brings us back to the original question about brand perception. If a company stays locked in the past, it risks disappearing. The automotive world changes quickly. Regulations, technology, and customer expectations evolve. Successful brands adapt. The Cayenne represents that adaptation. It allowed Porsche to grow, to invest in new technology, and to remain competitive in a modern market. Today, the model has proven its place. It combines performance, comfort, and everyday usability in a way that aligns with how people actually live. So whether someone sees it as a traditional Porsche or not, its importance is undeniable. Because sometimes the most controversial decisions turn out to be the most important ones.